It was only last week that I watched the Star Wars Holiday Special for the first time, and I will say for the last time, I completely understand why that original film has the worst reception. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen completely, and that's coming from a Princess Leia addict. However, I love Lego Star Wars and I love Lego films. So when I saw that the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special had just been released on Disney Plus, I actually jumped at the chance to see this, and it's only 44 minutes. So if I didn't like it, no big deal. However, I absolutely adored it, and there are so many things about this that I love. There's nothing really that I didn't like. There's one thing that I was worried about, but I will talk about that near the end where I have a few spoilery thoughts. I'm also going to go over some of the characters that are in it. That may also spoil it if you don't want to know who's in it or how their stories intertwine. So that's just something to bear in mind, that this is not going to be completely spoiler free, but I won't really talk about the narrative. But to be honest, I don't think you can spoil this film because it's just an absolute visual delight. In terms of the visual quality, absolutely spot on, of course it is. It's a fantastic Lego film. The movements are incredible, they're very fluid, they're very beautiful to watch. Seeing all of these characters we love in Lego form is brilliant. This is the first time that I've seen the likes of Rey and Poe Dameron and Finn and Kylo Ren in Lego form. I've seen most of the other main characters because I've seen The Empire Strikes Out and I've played the Lego Star Wars game. But this is I was particularly interested in how it compared to the original Holiday Special, because I thought, are they just going to emulate the same narrative but in a shorter time frame and have more of those disturbing Wookiee scenes? And the answer to that is yes and no. No, we don't get the disturbing Wookiee scenes, but yes, it has a kind of similar narrative. So I'll read the description from IMDb because that's probably the easiest way to explain it, and it's a very scattered narrative. There's a lot of things going on here, and I will be honest, I don't think the narrative is the bit that makes it exciting. It's the comedy, it's the dialogue, and it's the visual beauty. So the description from IMDb is as follows. Rey leaves her friends to prepare for Life Day as she sets off on an adventure to gain deeper knowledge of the Force. At a mysterious temple, she is hurled into a cross-timeline adventure. Will she make it back in time for Life Day? So she's trying to train Finn to become a Jedi, which I think, first of all, is quite weird because you can't just pick somebody at random to train to be a Jedi. But maybe he does feel the Force, I don't know. This isn't canon, that's worth mentioning. There are things in this where the timelines aren't perfect. But because she's going back in time, we get to see scenes from different Star Wars films, primarily A New Hope. I won't say which scenes they are, but it allows us to see certain characters doing certain things, people getting trained. And I think that's a lovely way to just add an extra dimension to this. So it's not just a new-ish story. It's also a hark back to some quite iconic Star Wars moments, but put in Lego form, and that's thrilling. That is great fun to see, and it's a lot of laughs, and I really enjoy it. So the narrative is very good. Even though it's about Life Day, the narrative is basically completely different to the original Holiday Special, but we do have more Wookiees in it. And I should point out it's directed by Ken Cunningham and written by David Shayne, and the writing, the dialogue, my goodness, it's so funny, it's so entertaining, it's so witty and clever, and I expect that there are a lot of jokes in this that you wouldn't get if you haven't seen Star Wars. I am quite a new Star Wars fan, so although I've seen the main 9 films, 10 if we include the Holiday Special, there might have been things in this that went over my head unless I kind of watched the films again and again. But even if you're not a Star Wars fan, I think you'd enjoy the beauty of this. Visually, it's absolutely gorgeous. Ken Cunningham is behind a lot of different Lego films, and for me, this is the best Lego film that I have ever seen. So the narrative, interesting, a bit intricate, some great flashbacks, thoroughly enjoyed that aspect. Visually, fantastic. Now, what about the characters that are in this? So this is where there may be the first set of spoilers, in case you don't want to know who's in it. I will say a lot of the voice cast is not the original. There are some originals. Oh, and I will say the voice of Yoda, Yoda narrates a little bit of this, and the voice of Yoda is not very good. So I can only hope, now that I've said that it's not an original voice of Yoda. And I can check that right now. It is the voice of Yoda in the Clone Wars and some other things. So, not the original voice of Yoda, but a voice of Yoda if you play a lot of Star Wars games. So, we have some amazing characters. As I said, Rey is in this, and Han Solo's there, there's a Jawa, C-3PO, Darth Maul is in it, which I hadn't expected, Lando, Luke is in it in several different guises. Luke's not actually that much, but when he's in it, he brings a lot of humour, a lot of dramatic irony that I absolutely adored. The voice of Rey is Helen Sadler. It's not the original Rey. Obviously, we have Poe Dameron, Obi-Wan, Rose, Anakin, which there's Darth Vader as well plays a lot of comedy in this. Darth Vader's got a fantastic role. But actually, I particularly enjoyed Palpatine. There's a lot of almost sarcasm centered around his character that I absolutely loved, because we know that Palpatine basically rose from the dead, and there's a little jibe at that, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. So do I have any complaints? Not a single one, not at all. Is it groundbreaking? Well, no, it's not. But it's 44 minutes that I'm happy to spend again watching this. The visual beauty is just so stunning, I can't get over it. The narrative is fun. It's a better version of the original holiday special. The characters are great. I love C-3PO. The Porgs, oh my goodness, the Porgs are adorable. I absolutely love them. The music, we have some recognisable songs in here. The soundtrack is really lovely and it works really well. I'm very happy with that. There's a lot of visual humour, for example with Christmas jumpers and things. It doesn't sound funny, but it is when you watch it. And there is a lot of verbal humour, a lot of funny lines and funny quips, wit, so many brilliant things, many of which kind of rely on a knowledge of Star Wars. Not an extensive knowledge, but just enough to be able to understand what they're talking about. But there are other just fun things that people say as well. It's absolutely sensational, and I would recommend it, and I thoroughly love it, and I would actually just give it 9 out of 10. I don't give star ratings, to be perfectly honest, because I think they're very limiting, but I would say 4 out of 5, 9 out of 10. Really loved it. So the big spoiler, well, maybe it's not a big spoiler, but when I read the cast list before I watched it because I was curious to know kind of where this fit in, and it doesn't really fit in anywhere. But I did think, well, how are they going to get past Princess Leia? And then I thought, well, I'm not using the real voices for Han Solo or for Luke, so it's not really a problem. Leia can be in this. But she's not. And I think that that's really respectful and actually really lovely for Carrie. For Carrie Fisher, I think. I always get really emotional when I talk about her. It's ridiculous. I think that's just really lovely. And I know that obviously Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill are still around, and they could have voiced some, but they got somebody else like they do with the games. But there's just something really respectful about not getting a voice for Leia. But, and I said a spoiler, she is in it for about 3 seconds. And when she appears with Obi-Wan, it was beautiful. It was such a gorgeous moment, and I just think that was a lovely little nod to Carrie. Just those 3 seconds, just to say we can't have a Star Wars film without any recognition of Leia. And, well, they can't have a canon, kind of trying to be canon Lego Star Wars film without Leia. It was gorgeous. This is one of the best films I've seen this year. Unfortunately, it was only 44 minutes, so it doesn't count as a feature, but I thought it was absolutely astounding, hilarious, great fun, adorable, so many little Easter eggs. Absolutely recommend.